Have you heard of the new addition to the Go for Donnie podcast? I haven't either, but it's called Switch to Channel 2. That is where Donnie will get to ask his guests some questions, so you, the listener, get to know them better. And remember, hashtag HTFU.
Guys, welcome back to Switch to Channel 2. Mark, for those of you that don't know about Switch to Channel 2, we came up with this idea because on set, Mark, as you know, whenever you had a little chatter, you'd say Switch to Channel 2, you'd reach back, you'd switch it to 2, and everybody would listen in to what your conversation was about. Even if you didn't want them listening, and then they'd switch back to their respected channel. So it's nothing but chatter here on Switch to Channel 2. So Mark, how you been? What have you been doing, man, since the last time we chatted? I mean, it's been a few months.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, coming out of the pandemic was one thing, as we all know, and we don't need to go there again. But then with the strikes and Netflix, just the whole.
Paramount.
I mean, I think each one of us are stuck in our own paradigms within the business, and it's hard to get out of something that worked. Didn't really need to be changed, but it did. And I think a lot of studios, a lot of companies, not production companies, but people that production companies have to answer to, were being forced to take advantage of crews, long hours, no breaks. I know that whenever I was on the last few shows that I did as a director, I'd be in the village, and the people behind me, we'll just say that, were just wanting guys and gals to be shouldered up the whole time. And we're talking anywhere from 3 hours straight to 6 hours straight. Jesus, without a pee break, without a crafty break. Water was easy because you could shoot and drink, but who wants to do that? And so I would see this, and because I come from carrying a camera for so many years, I have empathy, but it's empathy based on my experience. And so I would go out and tap people out, and I'd just get up, out of frustration, because they kept asking, can we give the guys a break? Can we shoulder down? Just put everybody on ice, shoulder down. No, we're going to keep going. This is good. After, how much do you need?
Let me beat that dead horse. I'm going to beat that dead horse real quick. And that's about leadership. And you're a leader. And you see that. And the people that we're talking about right now are not leaders.
No.
They don't fucking know that. They don't take care. A good leader will take care of the people that work with them.
Oh,
not
100%.
For them, that work with them.
100%.
And you do that. And the people that don't, they just don't fucking care, or they've never been there either.
Well, it's like a shepherd with its sheep. If the shepherd doesn't take care of the sheep are going to stray. And then you've got no sheep, you've got no food, you've got no milk, or whatever you're taking from the sheep, their hair or whatever. It's like, you got to take care of them. You got to feed them. You got to make sure they take a dump, go pee, whatever. Don't just run people into the ground. Anyways, that's all.
Good rant.
Good rant. And I think there's some other factors that I won't go into. It's just the woke world that we seem to slowly be transitioning from a little bit. That had a big mark on a lot of us.
Yeah. Diversity.
And diversity. Yeah. And so it became, I wasn't frustrated by it. I just didn't understand it. It got to the point where I'm like, how do I go from making this a week to now not even being on a show? It's like, and the reason why was like, because they don't say it to you. You just start seeing the consistency in who's getting the shows to direct. And I'm like, okay, so the experience, all these silly things up on this top shelf,
look at that. Things,
means butkus. It doesn't mean anything anymore. So I was like, okay, well, I need to find out what I can do. So I'm going to talk to some guys that are in the same position and see if there's consistency in what they're saying with what I'm thinking. Because I don't want to just go off and say, well, it's because of this or that. I want to hear it from others to see what they're experiencing. And I didn't just talk to white guys. I talked to everybody. Everybody, male, female, black, white, Asian, you name it. It was like, how's it going for you? Oh, man, I'm not working. I'm not getting booked. I'm losing my agent, blah, blah, blah. And, long story short, I came to the conclusion that had to reinvent. And I had to look at my career and all the years that I've been doing this stuff for 48 years now. It's my 49th year. And
Jesus.
I'm just like, okay, well, all of that means nothing. So I just had to accept that.
That's so sad. It's so like fucking heartbreaking. All the work that you've done
It
for
isn't,
the
it
last
isn't.
40
It isn't because it was at first, but then it was like, you know what? I have the capacity, I have the frequency to take all that and move forward. And the one thing that I never really got into was development. And I find when people that I would meet that were in development or people that were in an executive role at a network, A&E, VH1, MTV, and I know a lot of them, they love their life because they were hobnobbing with celebrities and the people that were on their shows and getting to go, front row at concerts and being part of music video background, all this stuff, but not in the trenches. Being in the
Not at
trenches
all.
is a completely different experience than, being in a boardroom every day. And when I say boardroom, I don't mean boardroom. I mean, you're bored in a room. That just didn't seem appealing to me. And the money really was like, okay, so you make a couple $100,000 a year, 300, 400,000, whatever. You get a chunk of the shows you do. That's all freaking awesome. But are you happy? Well, guess what? Same thing happened to me was happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then people started moving because all the work was moving. Going to Georgia, going to Florida, going to Texas, it was just, whew. And so I was like, well, I'm not moving. I like it here. My wife's mom is here who's going through her health issues that we need to be there for. I've got twin grandsons that are, 4 hours away that come here that love to come and be with us. So I'm going to stay for them. And for my daughter, who's a photojournalist now in Las Vegas, I want to be supportive for her. So it's like, okay, well, what do I need to do? So I'm on LinkedIn and I'm going
Oh,
after every job. And I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
these jobs are like, that's me. Joss was like, that's you, that's you, that's you. Butkus. And then I started going, well, it must be my age. Okay, could be. They want longevity. And I think, dude, if anybody thinks, and I hate this cliche now because it's overused, out of the box, I do. I'm completely like left fielding it all the time. And so that's not an issue. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen. So then as I'm doing that, I run across this old friend of mine who I've done a few shows for, Brad Holtzman at A&E. And he was one of the top executives. He did so many of A&E's successful shows over the years and made a ton of money. Great name for himself. Everybody loved him, loves him, I should say. So he starts posting these little videos about his move to South Carolina and what he's doing with his life and how he's going to get into flipping homes and real estate. But the way he's speaking is that he almost in a way is offering the experience he had at A&E to those that are transitioning or reinventing themselves. Transitioning, not sexually, they're, you know what I mean?
Career
Don't want to
wise,
go
not
there.
sexually.
And I was like, hey, Brad, it's Mark. Mark, what are you doing? Got on the phone. We must have talked for hours. And I had already like decided that I was going to start to learn how to develop stuff based on some of the crazy, wacky stories that I covered as a journalist in Vegas for 30 years. Well, not all of it was there. It was like 20 years was there.
A lot of gold there, a lot of gold.
So I started thinking about my dad being part of casino and running a hotel casino for the mob and the people that we used to go to lunch with and how he'd tell me to dummy up, eyes open, mouth shut, that type of thing. And then the stories I would cover once Argent Corporation and the Stardust and all that stuff came down, the mob came down, I was covering all the stories of these bodies that kept popping up in the desert. Well, at that time, 6 years ago now, because we're in 2026, it's hard to believe the pandemic ended 4 years ago. Anyways,
I know, fucking time suck.
I'm like, wait, they're finding these barrels at Lake B because the water level's coming down.
Wait, the recent ones you're talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I'm like, Well, I know about that stuff. I know why they're there. So I start doing a deep dive on the cases. And then I reach out to a buddy of mine, Greg McCurdy, who was one of the recruiters I told you about that we did the recruiting film, Rick Kirkham and I, for the Metro Police. Well, he was a brand new community affairs officer, and we worked with him and his partner in that department, and we did this recruiting video. Well, I call him up one day and just say, "Hey, Greg, it's Mark." He's like, "Hey, dude, it's been what, 6 years?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, so we catch up, and I come to find out he's the former under sheriff for all of Metro Police. He's the second in command. He worked his way up in his police career. And I'm like, dude, I got this idea. I want to reconnect. First, I want to do cold cases. He says, dude, we have a whole department that does nothing but cold cases. And that department has led the charge globally on doing DNA testing and investigations and forensics and all this stuff, right?
They're aggressive. They're aggressive in Las Vegas.
And I'm like, well, yeah, because there's so many missing people.
Yep.
He's like, dude, that's a great idea. And he goes, well, I want to do a show where the bodies that I would cover back in the 80s and 90s that they would find in these holes in the desert, they literally would find a body upside down where the feet were just sticking out. And it would be a hole about 5 feet deep. You'd see the feet. I'd go out and shoot the crime scene and they have it all taped off, but you could see what was happening. And I always had a great relationship with the homicide lieutenant. And he would come over to me and I'd say, why are they upside down? He goes, well, all the fluids in the body will go to the ends of all of the hands, the head, and it makes it very difficult to get fingerprints because everything swells up when they're upside down because of gravity. And that gives time for the person that committed the crime to get further away from because it's going to take time to get those fingerprints. Then they have to do dental records. That all takes time, which gives the perpetrator time to get away. It's much faster now than it was back then. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So then I started just reflecting because I had all this time. I wasn't doing shows anymore. And I'm like, that's a show.
Yeah.
And so the barrel that they found 3 barrels at Lake Mead, and one of them had a guy in it, and he had clothing. There was clothing that was still evident. They did forensic rebuild of his skull, so they had an idea of what he looked like. And I found out that his sister, who was somebody that knew he disappeared but didn't know where he ended up, knew he was involved with organized crime but didn't know at what level. And come to find out, he was a money transfer guy. He would transfer money for the mob between casinos, Kansas City, or a casino and casinos in Vegas. And evidently he got a little sticky fingerish and they ended up killing him, whacking him, and then putting him in a barrel and putting him out in the lake. And so I'm like, wow, that's a great opening story. I'm going to do a treatment. So I did a whole treatment, everything. I call it Holes in the Desert. And basically reconnecting families with missing people.
That's awesome,
in Las Vegas. Well, that was the mob side. And everybody loves the mob and it's very intriguing and all that. Well, after telling Brad Holtzman about that, he introduced me to another guy who's an active executive producer of home flipping shows. And we got to talking. And next thing you know, we're meeting in Vegas with Greg McCurdy and we're putting something together. It hasn't gone anywhere yet. We're still working on it.
Awesome.
But I started learning about development through Brad. And Brad basically was mentoring me in the process of this idea that he really liked. Long story short, we came to the vice president of Caesars International. They own 50% of all the hotels on the Strip. And he loved the idea of reconnecting missing people with their families because a lot of people go to Vegas to disappear on purpose. They owe people money, from bookies to family to whatever, or they just don't want to be in society anymore, or they're running away from a spouse for whatever reason, whatever it is, they just disappear. And so he knew of all these stories and he's like, you have a green light to come in our casino and you can just do it in our casinos with our security force. And the security force for Caesars International is bigger than Metro Police. They're massive. They're like their own police department. And so I was like, wow, what a great story. And I don't mind saying all this right now on your show, because for me, it's like, I don't care what the story is. If you've got something from your past that you can tell that gives a marker for where we all were at one point in our lives and how far we've come, and you kind of fill in the blanks, that's interesting content. If you're just about taking a story back then and just retelling it and it ends,
Yeah.
it just ends.
Yeah.
So as I was telling you earlier, the reason the Joe Louis picture is on my wall back there. Joe Louis lived around the corner from me when I was a kid, where I
Nice.
grew up. And I went to school. I went to Las Vegas Day School, which was a private school. My dad was running the casinos, so we could afford going there. I went to school with his two sons, his stepsons, Joe Jr., and I can't remember the other one's name. But they lived on Chippewa Circle. I lived on Aztec Way. And so about 14 years ago, I was doing a show called Football Wives for VH1.
So you did Basketball Wives and Football
Football
Wives,
Wives,
right?
yeah. Well,
Okay.
I did a season of Basketball Wives as a consulting producer, but then Football Wives I did as a director DP or director. There was a DP on it already, and one of the people on Football Wives introduced me to her social media guy, who had a friend of his that wanted to meet me to do a film about Joe Louis, and I was like, well, that's
You're
weird.
like, what?
Yeah, I have a connection to that. So the show ended. A lady called me, Tara Burks, and I flew out to Atlanta, went to this big lavish party that she was throwing, and that's her business. She throws these massive, like multi-million dollar parties. And I meet her, and she hands me this script. And Joe Louis's blood, not step, blood nephews, Joe Louis's brother's sons, John and Dane Barrow, Joe Louis Barrow. So Joe Louis's real last name is Barrow, Joe Barrow. Give me this script. And it's a present day script about this young man who's the nephew of Joe Louis. Basically, John wrote a story about his own life and how he keeps screwing up in school, but he keeps thinking about what would Joe do? How would Joe handle this? And so his hero is his uncle, Joe Louis, and he writes a whole script about it, but it's present day. And this is 2010. And I read it and I was like, this is a good script. I'm really excited, happy to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I said, but we need to establish who Joe was in this country, because I did my research. Part of development is research. And I knew that back in 2010 even. And so I cut this trailer about his two fights with Max Schmeling. And Max Schmeling was this German who came over to the United States before Hitler was anything. He'd just started, there were some grumblings about this guy who was screaming at people during the first fight. He comes over to New York, fights Joe Louis. Joe Louis loses in like 12 rounds. So Joe wants a rematch. Well, it took him 4 years to get a rematch. So James Braddock, who the movie Cinderella Man is made after, Ron Howard's film, James Braddock says, you can fight me. I'm the world champion. You're not going to win. But I'll give you the chance if you give me 15% of every purse you win after you lose to me.
Oh.
So Joe signs it. Now you have to understand something about Joe Louis. Joe Louis raised poor during the Depression,
Nothing.
coming out of World War I, had nothing, huge family. His dad was put into an asylum because he went crazy. His mom married another man. Stepdad was horrible, abuser, the whole bit. He had 8 children. She had 8 children, total of 16 siblings that Joe pretty much had to work hard to support financially. So as he was going in school as a teenager, he was delivering huge ice blocks, because back then refrigerators, they just put a huge ice block in them. And so
the old ice box.
He was getting like strong from that. And his hands were huge. Like I'm 6'5", I think he was 6'1", and he had hands the size of mine. So people would always be like, man, you got to do something with those hands. Anyways, his mom sends him to violin school. Joe Louis playing violin.
Wow.
So he's
Big
playing
old dude,
violin.
big hand.
Yeah, and he hates it. He
No,
doesn't like playing violin. So his mom's giving him money to give to the lady, and we're talking 25 cents, to give to the lady that's teaching him how to play the violin. And he starts skipping violin class and going to this gym because there's boxing there. And he starts learning how to box and using the money to give to the gym so he could learn how to box. Well, his mom finds out because he does a couple amateur fights. He comes in with a black eye, and she's like, "Are you boxing? What are you doing? You getting in fights? Blah, blah, blah." And then she runs over to the violin teacher. "So how's Joe doing?" "Well, I haven't seen him. He hasn't been around." And so she goes back and says, "Oh, so you haven't even been going. You've been going to the gym, huh?" He's like, "Yeah, Mom." Anyways, this is all in the script. So the lady from the violin store, our violin class, basically says, "Look, I'm a teacher. Clearly you have a passion for boxing." She's like, "I'm just going to let you have the money that you're bringing me from a violin class. Do the class, go be a boxer." And he does. And that's how he started his career. At a very young age, they knew he was something like a savant.
Wow.
But he was humble. Jack Johnson, who was the original black champion, was not humble. He's the complete opposite of Joe Louis. I mean, just crazy. So he fights Schmeling. He loses. He gets this offer from Braddock. He takes it. He does the second fight with Schmeling. Now, Hitler is a dictator. He's already killing millions of Jews. He's trying to get in a war with Japan and all these other people. England, the whole bit. Not Japan, England, France. And Schmeling comes over now as a propaganda tool for Hitler. So he's got the swastika flag draped around him. Hitler's all, ramping him up. The 36 Olympics in Germany, the whole bit, right? Joe gets in the ring with this guy, knocks him out second round.
Holy shit.
Knocks him out. Joe would take all the money up to that point that he would win from his fights, and he would go on the soup lines because of depression, and he would give his money away to people standing on the soup lines. And he got to be known for that. So he goes in the ring, beats Schmeling, who's a German at the time. We weren't in World War II yet. And Roosevelt tells Joe, we need strong hands like yours in the fight for the war, because the war starts shortly after that. So Joe is the original Captain America. But because he was black during a time of racism, he couldn't be Captain America. There are so many people don't even know that story, and it's in the movie.
Wow.
So he would go to a film premiere, because when he won the championship, he was just major celebrity, right? He's doing all these fights, and they'd ask him, they'd invite him to a film premiere to come see a movie just to draw people. And he wouldn't go, and they'd ask why. And he goes, because your audience doesn't reflect our country. If you have every creed, every ethnicity in that audience, I'll come. So they literally would take down the signs, whites only, fountains, bathrooms. White people could only sit on the main floor. Everybody else had to sit up in the balcony. They'd remove all that just for him. That's the opening of the film, actually. That's
fucking amazing. Was all of this in the original script, or when you got your hands on it, did you make sure some of this was in there?
None of this was in the original script. Good
on you.
At this point,
sounds amazing.
This is all in our heads. And this is 2010, 2013. I'm starting to develop all this. Cut to the pandemic. Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, defund the police, all this stuff that's been happening, diversity, divided country, media, news, everything, just where it's at today, right? And I'm like, there's no better time than right now to do this film. And so we had a frequency of maybe 2 or 3 times a year up to 2020 of meeting. During the pandemic, as we all know, we're using it right now, or a form of it. Zoom became the big thing. So I started Zooming with them, and we would Zoom with them. I'd Zoom with the group. Tara Burks, John and Dane and I, we'd Zoom every single week. And I started meeting with the president of Box to Box, who does F1, Formula One, does the tennis series, all that stuff for Netflix. Huge boxing fan from England, knows the whole story, totally loved it, didn't have a script. Had no script until 2023, when I met a friend of mine's neighbor who is a writer, who's black, who's got a similar story to Joe Louis. And he wrote the script. He wrote the first 23 pages in 3 weeks. He wrote the entire script in a month and a half. And it's phenomenal.
Holy shit.
It's phenomenal. And we kind of wrote it together, but he really penned it. And he's an established writer. I mean, he's got a publisher. He's got an agent, literary agent. So we've been working this film like crazy. And now we have a script, we have a trailer, we have a deck, we have treatments, we have a synopsis, we have everything. We have a production budget, the whole bit. It's a $36 million film.
Holy shitballs.
Just yesterday, we had a meeting with the broker. We've got a broker who's reaching out for investors. We have investors, and we're about to sign the agreement for a $36 million film.
Holy shitballs, dude. That's awesome, Mark.
So
Congratulations.
That's a little soon.
I know.
For that.
I don't want to. I know, but goddamn. I mean, good on you for sticking to your guns. That's fucking amazing.
16 years almost.
Dude.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like right now I'm in post on a film about the father of EMS and paramedics. So this guy, Jim Page, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have paramedics in the world today. We wouldn't have EMS here in Los Angeles. And so this guy, Jim Page, in 1967, started pushing for fire personnel that wanted to be in the medical field to be paramedicals, which is paramedics, pre-hospital care. Did you know that back then in the 60s and the 50s, if there was a car accident and the cops showed up and somebody needed to get to the hospital, they'd call the mortuary because they had a stretcher, and the mortuary would come in a hearse, pick up the person, take them to the hospital. Jesus. There were no ambulances, bro, in the 60s.
So that would suck balls getting picked up in a hearse. So like, fuck, I'm not dead.
This lady, and again, this goes back to my history as a journalist. So last April, I get a phone call, and it's this gal that I worked not with, but helped, that was part of Mercy Ambulance in Las Vegas. Huge ambulance company in Vegas. And she was the marketing person for the company. And I had done some PSAs for them. And my first introduction to her when she was a paramedic was she asked me not to show footage of an accident that I had covered where an ambulance crashed into the back of a car. And I guess out of the goodness of my heart, I didn't turn in the footage. We didn't do the story. And it meant so much to them because it would have put them in a bad light. And, we're going back to the 80s now, mid 80s. And then they did this thing every Thanksgiving where they would take elderly people from care facilities and they would take them home to their family for Thanksgiving dinner. It's called Home for the Holidays. So for 6 years straight, nice. I did a nice little Nat Sound piece, interviewed the paramedics, interviewed the families, showed them taking the person home. And they really remembered that. And so she calls me up last April. I hadn't talked to her in 30 years, but we're Facebook friends. So she reaches out. Hey, do you have your phone number? I'd like to talk to you about something. So she calls me and she says, hey, so I've been running this company in San Diego. I do all these video marketing. I do long and short stories on different ambulance companies. I help to market their companies. And I was like, that's cool. And she goes, the Los Angeles County Fire Department has a museum. And it's in Bellflower. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't know where this is going, right? And she goes, they need a video to put on a loop in their museum. I go, oh. I go, what's it about? I go, I don't really do loop videos or marketing videos, but I'm interested. And she goes, well, there's this guy, Jim Page, and the whole museum pretty much is dedicated to the show Emergency. Do you remember the show Emergency?
Oh,
I go, are you kidding? I had the lunchbox.
When
I was a kid. Yeah, Johnny Gage and Roy DeSoto, Kevin Tighe and Randy Mantooth. And so I'm like, yeah, I do. And she goes, well, that's what the video is about. He helped start that show. And because of that show and his involvement, Dragnet's producer, Jack Webb, created Emergency and Adam 12. And this other producer named Bob, I can't remember his last name, but they created all three of those shows, and Emergency put paramedics on the map. They literally, the two guys that played Johnny and Roy,
I had no idea,
would get called to go to these different cities. They get to the cities, and all the cities wanted to know was how they could get paramedics. And they're like, we're actors. We're not paramedics. So then Jim Page grabbed a motorhome and went cross country talking to all these places, and it blew up. And that's how we have paramedics now, is because of this one guy. Well, this one guy died in 2008. He was 68 years old. He drowned in a pool in Carlsbad. And she's like, we want to do a film. So I go, give me 10 minutes. I'll call you back. So as soon as I got off the phone with her, I took like a half an hour, researched this guy, called her back. I said, are you crazy? This guy deserves a full feature documentary. And she goes, really? She goes, all right, I wouldn't even know how to do that. I go, well, that's what I do. And she goes, because I just finished Changing Faces. We just premiered that last September, and it's in the festivals now.
My name is Sean Marshall. I'm a father, I'm a son, a soul that's trying to find his way in the Colorado Department of Corrections, serving a 45-year sentence. And today I'm a free man.
And I said to her, yeah, he deserves a full-on feature. And I go, let me write a treatment. And she goes, will you put a budget together too? And I go, absolutely. And so I put a budget together. I can't say how much it was, but it's more than I thought they would say yes to.
It's fucking amazing, man.
But I'm so passionate about the story. So in the last 4 months, I have done numerous ride-alongs with the LA County Fire Department in different station houses. Their new unit, which is called APRU, which is a advanced practitioner response unit, which basically is a nurse practitioner and a paramedic. And they go out for smaller calls, and they can turn away all the trucks and ambulances to save not only carbon, but to save the manpower, and also the patient from having to go to urgent care. They can do it. I went on one, this lady cut her finger open. She needed stitches. The practitioner shot it up, cleaned it, stitched her up. And the girl goes, how much is this going to cost me? She goes, it's free. We're paramedics.
What?
We're LA County Fire. You don't have to pay for this. So she'd have to go to urgent care. She did all the work right there. It was amazing. Anyways, and then I got to fly with their air unit.
So dope.
Flew with their Black Hawk helicopters, went out on a rescue. I'm there just interviewing this first black crew chief, which is a paramedic on a helicopter. And he's like, so are you going to ride with us? I go, I was told I can't ride with you. 10 minutes later, the captain comes out. He goes, I understand you were told you couldn't ride. I'm like, yeah, that's what I was told, PIO office, you know. He's like, well, they didn't ask me. You're riding today. I'm like, okay. And I've done it a million times, right? With Border Patrol and all kinds of stuff. But and they're like, yeah, just sign this release. And if we get a call, you can go. And I don't have my GoPros. I got nothing with me, right? I got my 2 cameras. And so we do the interview. I'm putting everything away. Guys help me out to my car. Because I do this whole documentary I've done by myself, by the way. No crew.
Wow, one-man band. I love that.
3 cameras. I've got a Ronin RS Pro 4, and I've got all these. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of gear I have. And that's because I was able to get it from the budget for this film. And so I'm putting it all away, and I'm just about ready to put the battery on the monitor, and a call comes through. And Johnny looks at me and goes, man, you are so lucky. I go, what? He goes, that's a call. I'm like, okay, great. I didn't get excited, right? But I was excited. Yeah, he's like, yeah. He goes, let's go. We're going to get you strapped in. We'll put you in a donut strap, get you in the rig. We get in, we take off. This guy fell down a 150-foot cliff about 6 miles away from where the air support is stationed. And he had fallen down this cliff, and where he was in this valley of these hills, this huge Black Hawk, the pilot was phenomenal. And I've got like 10,000 hours of flying. This guy was ridiculously amazing. He flies high tension power lines, so he has to be accurate. That was his previous job. So now he's flying for county fire. So he backs the tail in, and he's literally like, I'm not kidding, my arm's length, the tail rotor is away from the dirt. And he's dropping 200 feet of cable. to get this guy, get a paramedic down to him, and then pull the guy out.
And steady.
Oh, locked, dude, locked. And the wind's blowing. It's stormy, and you're in a valley, so all the wind that's created by the updraft is crazy. So I'm sitting there, doors open, they're putting him down, I'm shooting everything, and then we go and we orbit. Paramedic does his thing. We go back, we pull him up and out. Guy broke his thumb. That's all that happened to him. We take him back to the hospital. We land. We get back to air support. And Johnny didn't go on that flight with me. Another paramedic went. Johnny comes up to me. He says, "You're not going to believe this." I go, "What?" He goes, "Here, look at my phone." And so I look at his phone, and it's a shot from the ground of the same rescue that a stringer shot. This guy that chases County Fire air support around and shoots all the rescues.
Nice.
His name's Austin Dave on Instagram. So I call him up. He gives me the footage. So now I got the footage from the ground. I got the footage getting strapped in and going, and everything from in the bird of the rescue. And then this guy has got the exterior of the guy being lifted up into the helicopter, us taking off. Dude.
That's fucking brilliant. It like all lined up for you, man. That's crazy. So now
those moments happen constantly on the shoot. It's insane. And so I know I'm right where I need to be. And so now I have a film about the story of my going with the mother of a young boy who had been kidnapped by his father and gone to Bosnia during the war. The same writer that wrote the Joe Louis script is writing that film right now. And then Jesse's story, Life Rolls On. It's his 25th anniversary this year for the Life Rolls On organization. So we're doing a film on him that hopefully we're hoping that Chris Martin will help support from Coldplay because they're very good friends. And he just loves what Jesse stands for and how he does things. So, and the budgets of world, that's the thing. Development is really writing a great treatment, being passionate about it, but not forcefully being passionate. Find stories that stir you up and then bring that to the people that say yes or no to the budget, to the project, whatever. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what development's about. Because if you're not passionate about it, if you're not on fire about it, why would somebody want to support it, right? And so when they saw me, I was in front of 12 fire chiefs, bro. All retired, in a room, 4 on a Zoom, and they're the advisory group for this paramedic film. And I'm sitting there, and I just went off. I was just like, it didn't matter to me who they were. And they were like, "I think we got the right guy to do this, and we should do a film." It was, and the last 7 months of my life has been fully covered financially. And I've been able to travel to North Carolina. I interviewed Kevin Tighe, who played Roy DeSoto, the blonde guy on Emergency. Randy's not in a good health way to be interviewed right now, so we're kind of hoping that he comes through. But yeah, man, and there's 21 interviews, and I'm cutting the trailer. It's due today, and I don't think I'm going to get it because I've got like this kind of like a writer's block thing going on. I have so much information that it's hard for me to simplify into a simple trailer, and it's been daunting. But you know what? I'm just happy to be able to be in that position, man. I'm just so stoked.
Dude,
it's been great.
I'm so excited for you. This is such great news. I mean, and what I'm hearing, you pivoted, but you didn't pivot far. I mean, clearly, I think the industry of reality TV and all of that have kind of, gone wherever the fuck it went. But the documentary side and the filmmaking side, like I'm involved in producing a feature independent film this year.
Awesome.
I've never produced film or movies before, but it's in our wheelhouse. Clearly yours. So that's so amazing. And everything's like just happening right now. It's fucking awesome, Mark.
Well, if you look at the industry in general, and this is something I really wanted to share with everybody, because you have to have a different mindset. I'm not the guru. I'm not the know-it-all. I know nothing. I'm just fledging, I didn't go to school to run a studio camera at 14. This all just came to me. This is just where I'm supposed to be, and I accept that. And it's been an amazing life. What I've come to understand now is that, and it's something I always mentored PAs in. PAs would be, I'd say to them, I go, so what do you want to do? You're a PA. Do you always want to clean toilets and stock up crafty? No. What do you want to do? I want to be a cinematographer. I want to be a director. Everybody wants to be a director, right? Or I want to be in set building or art or makeup or whatever, wardrobe, editing. I said, good. I said, do me a favor. Take a look at the landscape as you're a PA. Pick the thing that jumps out at you. Go do it. Go and be a friend. Be a PA for that department. Get to know people. Ask questions at the right time. Learn. Then go to the next thing you're passionate about. And just start sampling. And if you find yourself at one place, like, yeah. Well, or if you find yourself in a place that you stick in for a few years, thinking that that's what you're going to do, be involved in all the other departments around them that support that department, or that you answer to, so that you get a flavor of everything on the table. I haven't just been a director and a photojournalist and a cinematographer. I've been a gaffer. I've been an LD. I've been a best boy. I've been a producer.
That's what makes you so well-rounded, though. I mean, because you know what it takes.
That's the world today. If you don't do that today, you are not going to be needed. If you can't wear multiple hats, and the one thing I always found, and I don't name names, a lot of people, they'd find themselves as a camera operator and that'd be it for them. Or they'd find themselves in hair and makeup and that would be it for them. And that's fine. But nowadays, if you don't wear multiple hats, then you're not worth as much as somebody, that does. And if something happens, you don't have anywhere you can turn.
I'm living proof. I didn't know how to run a camera, audio, edit, light. I mean, my lighting's not great, but hey, all these things that I had to learn to do, because if not, it wouldn't get done.
Right.
And which makes it more marketable for any of these producer jobs that I'm trying to get with different companies to do social media, anything. I know how to do it because it's proven. So, but that's going back. That's what makes you a good leader, Mark. That's what makes you a good director, a good producer, because you know what it takes. You have sympathy for that gaffer, for that PA.
Oh man,
for anyone, because you know what it takes, what they're going through. So you get it.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're doing this project by yourself as well, I mean, it's fucking amazing because you can.
Yeah.
And it means you're passionate about it. Not everyone's passionate about everything that we're doing as much as you are.
Well, the thing is it's a paid passion project. Passion projects are not usually paid.
Yeah. Sorry. Passion project here. Paid project. Cool. Yeah.
It's crazy. And my wife looks at me and goes, how the heck did you do this? It's like, I didn't do anything. I really didn't. I mean, you kept moving forward. As I said earlier, my wife and we do have a church that we go to. I give it all to him upstairs, but it's like, I sit back and I'm like, wow, this is just, and you have to understand too, the weight of the LA County Fire Department, especially after interviewing the chief of the LA County Fire Department.
Huge. Now it's all on you, man.
Oh, dude.
Right there on them big shoulders of yours, Mark, that you can handle.
Well, we'll see.
You're going to fucking handle. I love it. I love that you shared that with me. Thank you. And thank you for sharing that with everyone. It's so exciting. And it's good to hear that brothers and sisters in our industry listen to this. Mark Jacobs is living proof right now. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Keep one foot in front of the other.
Don't give up.
And you will find something. You have to pivot. You will find something. Don't settle. Don't settle. Mm-hmm. Not there's anything wrong with going and working for Trader Joe's, because I would.
No, I would too.
But do what you love to do, and this is what we love to do. And I'm going to transition into something that I've added to my repertoire. I came up with an idea for a show, but since there's not a lot of people buying shows or anything, I decided I'm going to turn this into another podcast. So it's a podcast called Gen X: We Survived It All. And here's my elevator pitch for you. Gen X: We Survived It All is a comedic, nostalgic-driven podcast where real childhood stories from the 1970s and 80s are told with sharp humor, deadpan honesty, and zero safety disclaimers. Hosted by yours truly, myself, Donny McGuire, the show blends drunk history-style storytelling with a CB radio call-ins. My family were big with CBs.
I had my own too.
Retro America, from backyard fireworks and blockbuster nights to malls, fast foods, growing up wildly unsupervised. So before helmets, before Wi-Fi, let me say that again. Before helmets, before Wi-Fi, before common sense, we survived it all. This is me, Donny McGuire. Born analog and raised on bad ideas. Before helmets, before Wi-Fi, before common sense. Growing up Gen X in Spokane meant riding bikes till dark, lighting fireworks in the living room, and thinking macrame was a fire-retardant material. Friday nights were at Patterson's North, roller skates, bad perms, and songs that still live rent-free in our heads. We drove too fast, drank warm beer, and somehow survived every stupid stunt without a seatbelt or a therapist. Now I'm telling the stories, the real ones. On Gen X, we survived it all. Real stories, real scorch marks, before helmets, before Wi-Fi, and before common sense. So I have a whole slew of stories because all the shit that happened to me as a kid, a lot of people can relate to. I don't know if you can relate to peeing on an electric fence.
Bro,
where your dad told you to pee.
Come on.
So these little things.
Sucking water out of a sprinkler head when it's 120 out, or going down a metal slide when it's 120 out.
It's so funny you're saying that because those are little stories that I get to share. So
you know what else we used to do really quick?
Yeah.
I would take, my mom had like Charlie perfume and the caps that you would put on top. I would take the caps. I'd stick a firecracker in the dirt. I'd put the cap on it, light the firecracker, and then watch the cap go like 100 feet in the air. Just stupid, random stuff.
All right, so I'm going to share. This is like one of the first stories that I'm sharing. It's a fireworks story now, and just because you mentioned fireworks, each episode is going to have a theme. Fireworks is the first theme, and the first story from that is when we were kids, growing up in Washington, Spokane. Fireworks were legal. Firecrackers were, on and off. They'd make them illegal. They illegal, whatever. And so they had these things called flowers, little flowers, and when you light them, they spin really fast and they turn different colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My mom is at work. It's summertime. My dad works swing shift, so he's in bed. Myself, a buddy of mine, my two brothers, two of their friends are there, and my older brother's friend decides we're lighting them off and throwing them out the front door. So we'd light it. I don't know why. Why not just go outside and fucking light them? We'd light it, throw it out the front door, right? Well, the second one lit it. For some reason, we didn't get it out the door. The macrame holder, there's remember macrame? The plant holders?
Of course.
Right next to the front door, catches on fire. He drops the flower. It's spinning. It burns a hole in the carpet, burns a hole in the back of the sofa. We're trying to put out the fire on the macrame. My dad wakes up in his tidy whities, like, what the fuck is going on? And we're all like, stupidity, sheer and utter stupidity happened back when we were kids. And that was just one of many, many stories, let alone fireworks stories. So
I've got a few
I'm going to piece that together and see how that does and see if people, relate to that. So
I think you're getting a lot of attention on that one for sure. That's great.
Especially Gen X, because it's like everything from riding in the back of a pickup truck, passing your dad beers while you're riding in the back of the pickup truck while he's doing 55 miles an hour down the highway. It's like, but we survived it. Well,
that's the thing. We've heard so many stories as we were kids, listening to the stories of older people around us and our parents' friends and that. We'd hear that, but we didn't have an opportunity really to hear it on a broader scale. And now with all the connection that we have through the internet and through Zoom and all these different outlets, social media and that, we have an opportunity to share our stories of our stupidity when we were kids on a much broader scale. And a lot of these stories can be turned into many things, like the film Almost Famous. There are so many aspects of that film that's my life, that's your life, that those of us that lived that time and I had that opportunity. It may not have been with Rolling Stone magazine, but I was sneaking into NAB and I was running a studio camera at Howard Hughes' old TV station. So we all have those moments. If we don't share them, they're forgotten. I've done a few memorial films here recently, and people have been rocked by them, and they're entertaining. There's a celebratory part of it.
Can you know what? Sorry, when we're done, can you share maybe one or two of them? Because I do them
I'll share
too,
the
and
one
I'd
I
love
just
to
did.
see.
I'll share the
Because
one
I'd like to rip off, not rip off, emulate what you do.
I said to my wife, I said, "Oh man, I was thinking the other day, who's going to do my video?"
Yeah, right.
And she goes,
"If you're the one always doing them,"
she goes, "Just do it yourself." I was like, "That's a brilliant idea. Why didn't I think about
do
that?"
Do it before. Why not? Just keep adding some photos, some recent ones or something,
I'm going to do my own memorial. So everybody, we miss Mark, but he did his own memorial video. Come on.
It would be the best fucking music, non-playable music on social media. Right?
Oh gosh. Yeah, exactly. Anyways.
But I mean, the reason why I shared that Gen X, we survived it all with you and everyone else is because what you said earlier about, you're 48 years in the business and looking back at some of those stories and sharing some of those stories or, piecing it together is gold. And we all have that, just like Go for Donny. We all have these stupid stories from whatever job we had. Yep. We all have them. It's just like sharing them with people or figuring out how you can get them out there or what you can do to tool them into something more and have fun and try and make some money and bring some pleasure to people that are listening or watching.
I get so many people telling me I should write a book. And it's like, I could pick any of these stories and expand on them even more, like the Lloyd Daniels story, because that ended up on George Michael's Sports Machine. And then that turned into something else.
George Michael?
Yeah. It's just
his daughter. My buddy dated his daughter.
Oh, really? Not the
Michelle,
singer,
yeah.
not the singer, the
sports
George
guy. Michael.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
He was such a good guy. Kind of an a-hole, but he was a great guy. I mean, he knew his stuff. That guy knew his stuff. Yeah. Anyways.
Well, I mean, I'm so excited that you have all this stuff going on. I can't wait to see, and I know you're going to share a trailer or two with me so I can look at it or throw anything up here.
Changing Faces was fantastic. It was a film about a guy who was sentenced to 45 years for committing a burglary with a pellet gun. 45 years. That's double life plus 5 years. And the governor of Colorado wrote him a letter of clemency for all that he was bringing while he was in prison. But the story of how he got to being incarcerated the second time after doing one stint and how the people that were there on murder charges and really bad people had turned their lives around so much they wanted to speak into this guy and give him an opportunity to not come back. Well, that turned into him finally realizing who he was, not a waste to be thrown away for 45 years. He gets out on this letter, and now he's speaking to other prisoners and young people to keep them out of prison. And nobody's ever done a film from that person's perspective. It's always been community leaders, prison people, politicians. We've never heard it from the actual guy that was sentenced. And we've not heard why he ended up. We all have heard the stories of single parent. You're hearing it from the guy that grew up in a single parent family. He actually speaks openly about his demise and how he became a guy that would shoplift and how that turned into him being 45 years sentenced. So it's a really, we sold out the theater. We screened it in Colorado. We had 2 people walk up after we screened it to a halfway house membership. This is before we even released it. It was a rough cut. And 2 people walked up, turned in their hypodermic needles and drugs. And so it has impact.
Impact.
Yeah. And it's the first thing I've ever co-directed. And I co-directed with my former student that was in my directing class. And he came to me with the story and said, "Hey, would you help me with this?" And as we got into it, I was just going to be the cinematographer. But as we got into it, I was like, you know what? We're pretty much doing everything equally. We're like-minded. Let's just co-direct this. And he's like, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "I've never done that." He goes, "Yeah, I haven't either." He's 24. And so,
oh, wow.
Yeah, he's 24. I'm 63. The guy we're doing the story on is 42. So it's like this great like arc of age that comes through the film. That's like, whoa, this is kind of cool. So we'll see what it does in the festivals now.
That's really cool, dude.
Yeah, it's been fun.
You have your hand in just about everything, Mark. I love that.
Trying.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, you got to keep moving forward. I mean, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
But guys, I just want to remind everyone that Switch to Channel 2 is also a video podcast, not just an audio podcast. So you can catch us on my YouTube channel at Go for Donny, where Switch to Channel 2 and Go for Donnie lives. And soon, Gen X, we survived it all, will be living as well. And I have a website, gofordonnie.com. Check it out. Come say hello. Dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on and switching that channel and having a little chatter with me and sharing some stories on Go for Donnie and let me know what you're up to. And, we're going to be watching and pump out anything that you have. We'd love to get out to everyone. If there's anything you want to plug right now, anything coming up you want to?
Yeah, I mean, Changing Faces, first and foremost. The Joe Louis film, we're in the process, just keeping that on the forefront of your minds, looking for that. We've got some pretty big names that are attached verbally right now. We've got LL Cool J. So I mean, he wants to play the trainer, Joe's trainer. He's perfect for it. He looks like the guy. He's a huge boxing fan, as we all know. Mama knocked me out. So there's that. And then this paramedic film, I'm going to send you a link to my website. Everything is there. There's trailers there. The synopsises are there for Joe Louis, for the fire film. It's called This Life After All. And so, all 3 films are on the website. And you can check all of them out there. But I'll send you the picture of basic training and that kind of stuff, too, for the other one.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We'll throw all that up. And then that just means you're going to be a 3-peat guest for when your next thing is actually coming out so you can plug it again. So, it'll be about Mark pretty soon.
I just want to share, man. I don't want
to.
I really don't want to plug. I just want people to know that, don't give up on this industry. It's being a creative. Come on.
Yeah.
Gave me a whole life. I've been around the world 5 times. So it's like, who can say that? And I got paid to do it? What?
I know. I want to keep doing it. I want to keep doing it. I don't want to do anything else. I want to keep doing it. Yeah. So I'm going to keep forging forward. Well, thanks, Mark. They're calling us to get back to our channel. We got to get back to channel 1. So thanks for coming, guys. Don't forget, Go for Donnie and switch to channel 2. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, Donnie.
All right, man. Later.
Later, dude.
Production for Donnie.
Go for Donnie. Locations for Donnie. Go for Donnie.
Habitat for Donnie.
Go for Donnie. Hey Donnie, what the hell are they doing?